All right, man. Next segment, past, present, future.
Okay.
What advice do you have to your younger self?
Yeah, this is right up your alley. Buy properties.
Yeah,
Invest in real estate. Invest in real estate, guy.
Yeah, what do you like do with your money these days? Like, what's your investment life look like? 401k kind of stuff, or do you do anything alternative?
No, I just buy Rolexes.
That they usually go up in value.
They
actually.
do. They're store value.
I don't know if you're joking on that, but
they're store value.
Yeah,
they're store value. And if you buy really nice cars, store value.
Yeah, I agree.
They'll actually go up. No, I don't know. I'm pretty financially literate, but what do I do with money? I mean, it's diverse, right? I have an estate planner I work with, financial advisor, and then I do some. Yeah. My wife's a real estate agent, so we do some of that stuff. Of course, it's Vegas.
Everybody's a real estate agent.
Real estate agent, bro. You tripped over 2 on the way in here, man. But so a little of this, a little of that, but it's relatively diverse.
All right. Well, on that note, I'm going to pause the past, present, future for a second and ask the question. We started talking about it earlier, and I wanted to pick it back up in this interview, and that is, back in the day, athletes it was known, if you were like in the NFL, you were going to make millions of dollars and then go bankrupt. It was like 90% of them went bankrupt. And I know you...
It was like 50, but...
Okay, yeah, 50, 40. Yeah. Well, it was a lot. It was more than average.
When you figure you gave a guy $12 million, how could he blow $12 million? Well, he didn't actually make $12 million. Turns out he made 7 after all in, after Uncle Sam. And, his manager and everybody had a piece of it. And then he had this. And then, his family, he comes from nothing. So he had to help a lot of family members out. And then, his friends tried to start a business, and they meant to start a good business, but he tried to help them. And, turned out that went under. And then it's like, well, who just want a restaurant? A steak restaurant would be great. Yeah. Oh, those are a money pit. So, yeah.
So does that happen in the UFC? The guys you work with, do you see that often, or are they a little better today? There's not as much money here, but
there's not as much money. And, it's, for us, it's more about, oh man, I made $200,000. I made $100,000. I made $180,000. And all of a sudden, guess what? You made no money.
Yeah.
So it's really identifying that you are not in a regular profession, that you need to live below your means or well below your means, because even if you made a couple $100,000 and you've been doing that for 3 or 4 years, which is not unreasonable, there's going to come a time whereas, everybody that works here is going to get a 2% cost of living increase, and then they're going to make a little more and a little more. Well, there's going to time where you're going to make more and more and more nothing.
Yeah.
So you need to identify that, and then you need to start. What are your next steps? Like, what are you going to do for money?
Yeah.
How much does that pay, and can you live off of that now?
Yeah. So
that you've saved some of that money for the future.
Yeah.
Right. So for us, it's that management, right? It's not what you make, it's what you save. But and for me, one thing I did wrong is like, you need to have your money making money. Just sitting in a bank losing inflation is not great.
Sure.
So what are some safer, federally insured deposits? What can you do like with your money that's relatively safe to grow it a bit? And then, what can you do outside of the sport of fighting for money? You want to be a gym owner? Cool. Remember that you only know the A side of the business. You know how to deal with customers. You don't know how to get them in the building. Yep. You know how to teach fighting. You know how to train jiu-jitsu, but you don't actually know how to market. You don't know how to run a business. You don't know how to pay the cleaning people on time. You don't know how to order supplies. So, it's about understanding your limitations, and either like something you guys always suggest is bring people in that can fulfill that, or just figuring out what they are. It's not that hard. You go to a basic like lawyer, accountant, you have an LLC, you can find a lot of stuff online, like, oh, geez, you get like an Excel spreadsheet, and you're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. I'm going to need that. Insurance. I got to get insurance. Geez, one more expense. All right. I got to raise my membership price a little, It's like, oh, okay. So anyway, it's about, it's about kind of understanding what your next step are. And what have you done? Like for me, I monetized a lot of relationships, because when I was doing well, I was pretty cool to people and I was very respectful of relationships. So, when I was kind of like, hey, you got something going on that I could maybe get involved in, people were apt to say yes. So you're going to monetize those relationships. You got a sponsor, treat them right. Be nice to them. Be good to them. Go a little above and beyond, and that way when you're not, whatever, they'll still put you in the Toyo commercials.
Yeah.
Toyo tires, and I'm still getting free Toyo tires, baby.
Are you really?
Oh, yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah. So, it's...
Not the Toyota truck, though, and they're not giving you a Tundra.
No,
Just tires?
Toyo tires. Yeah.
Oh, that's very different.
Official tire sponsor of the UFC. Yeah, but no, it's there's 1,000 little things like that, and eventually I would like to open that back up. That's something we used to do for UFC athletes, is have what we called summits.
Yeah.
We moved away from that now that we have the Performance Institute, but we'd like that information to live here.
Yeah.
So an athlete comes through, where hey, here's the like social media just did a like indoctrination for them. How can you make money off social media? How can you build your brand? Look, the UFC wants you, the fighter, to be more popular. There's more people are going to want to pay money to see you fight or to put your name on a T-shirt, etc.
Yeah.
You're going to get a cut of that money, so it's good for everybody.
Yeah.
And then you can get outside sponsors that have nothing to do with the UFC. You know,
Can a fighter do that if they some energy drink company comes up and is like, hey, we want to sponsor you?
They can do whatever they want. They just can't do it in UFC events, which is
So
usually
you can't like walk on stage holding a bottle of
yeah.
whatever. Okay.
But that's the UFC's time.
Yeah.
People pay the UFC a lot of money for that time. Your time, like you're going to an event, like I still do stuff all the time, like random gigs for companies that compete against the UFC.
Yeah.
Or against the UFC sponsors.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Independent contractors, baby. It's that life.
That's what it is.
You got it's definitely it's a hustle, you know, and everybody does it, and it's I don't know, I like it.
Well, if any of you guys ever want to learn real estate, you know where to send them. I'll show them the way. You brought up a really good point, though, and I'll throw a book recommendation out there that changed my life. The idea of you can be good at knowing jujitsu and terrible at running a gym, right?
Yes.
It's like the book, The E-Myth Revisited from Michael Gerber.
I've heard of this.
Yeah. He's like, he used the analogy, you can know how to bake a cake and be a terrible bakery owner.
Yeah.
Those are two different skills. It's not impossible to know the business side. I love the business side, but I had to learn the business side. And so as long as you go in it with that mentality of like, oh, I'm gonna have to learn how to run a business, you'll be okay.
100%.
Yeah. E-Myth Revisited,
like
great one.
E-Myth Revisited.
All right, back to past, present, future. That was the past one, was advice to your younger self. This one I'm calling the better life question. And it basically says, what have you done in the last year that's improved your life, that's given you a better life? Anything tactically big, could be small, could be
I really should have asked for these questions ahead of time.
anything in your life that you've improved on recently?
Pass. I don't know. I'm the
That's okay.
worst. I thought you were going to tell me how to be happy.
I'm going to tell you how to, well, I want to talk about happiness
I
next,
didn't
actually.
know what you were going to do.
Let me
How
actually
did you
pivot this question slightly, and then I'm going to have you re-answer it.
Yeah.
Are you happier today than you were when you were fighting? Like, can you, I know it's weird to gauge happiness necessarily, but how
My
do you view
happiness
that?
is different,
Okay.
but no.
No, you had fun then. You're happy then. You're definitely happy today.
I probably have less happiness and a lot less stress. You know, I was really serious about like performing and winning fights. And if I had a bad day at training, then I laid in bed thinking about how pathetic I was and how the world was going to end and how I should just quit. And, you know.
That's actually interesting. You bring up the happiness, like higher happiness, higher stress. I wonder if that's how it is for actually most people.
That's how it was for me. The higher highs, lower lows. So now I'd say they're mediated a little bit. The highs aren't as high, but the lows aren't as low.
Yeah.
I think, you know, if my daughter has a child, and I'll be like, oh, there it is again. Like when my daughter was born, I was like, oh, it's amazing. You know, those are life happinesses. But
Yeah. Okay.